Have you ever looked at the Mona Lisa and wondered why? Out of all the incredible paintings in the world, this one is the most famous. Is it her smile? Is it Leonardo da Vinci's genius? Well, the real reason is a bit more scandalous. The truth is, the Mona Lisa became a global superstar because she was stolen. And the story of how she was taken and where she was hiding is even wilder than you can imagine. Let's rewind to August 21st, 1911. The Louvre Museum in Paris is closed. A man named Vincenzo Peruggia, who had previously worked there as a handyman, slips out of a broom closet where he'd hidden overnight. He walks right up to the Mona Lisa, lifts the relatively small painting off the wall, removes it from its frame, tucks it under his white worker smock, and simply walks out the door. No high-tech gadgets, no elaborate plan, no daring rappel from the ceiling. He just walked out with it. The next day, when the museum opened, nobody even noticed it was gone for hours. A visiting artist was the first to sound the alarm, but the guards assumed it had just been taken to the photography studio. It took them a full 24 hours to realize the world's future most famous painting had vanished. The news exploded. Imagine the headlines today. If a priceless artifact was stolen from a major museum, it was exactly like that. But a century ago, newspapers across the globe ran the story. The French police were baffled and humiliated. They launched a massive investigation, questioning everyone, even grilling Pablo Picasso as a suspect at one point. They searched Peruggia's apartment, but somehow missed the painting. The public was captivated. For the first time, millions of people who had never heard of the Mona Lisa were seeing her face plastered on every front page. People flocked to the Louvre, not to see art, but to stare at the 4 empty hooks on the wall where she used to hang. The theft itself had turned the Mona Lisa into a celebrity. So, where was she this whole time? Not in a secret vault of a criminal mastermind or a billionaire's hidden collection. She was stashed in a trunk, under a stove, in Vincenzo Peruggia's tiny one-room apartment in Paris, just a few blocks away from the Louvre. For 2 long years, the most wanted painting on the planet was hiding in plain sight, while the world's best detectives searched far and wide. Peruggia later said he simply grew to love the painting and felt it belonged back in its home country, Italy. He believed Napoleon had stolen it, which wasn't true. Leonardo da Vinci himself had brought it to France centuries earlier. The story takes its final, dramatic turn in late 1930. Peruggia, perhaps getting tired of his famous roommate or needing the money, decides it's time to act. He travels to Florence, Italy, carrying the Mona Lisa in a false-bottomed trunk. He contacts an art dealer named Alfredo Geri, using the name Leonardo Vinci. He writes a letter claiming to have the stolen masterpiece and wanting to return it to Italy for a reward. Geri is skeptical, of course, but intrigued. He agrees to a meeting on December 10, 1930. Bringing along the director of the Uffizi Gallery for an expert opinion. They meet Peruggia at his hotel. He opens his trunk, pulls out a collection of junk-old shoes, a mandolin, some clothes, and then, from the false bottom, he reveals the painting. Geri and the gallery director were stunned. It was her. The brushstrokes. The aged poplar wood panel, it was unmistakably the real Mona Lisa. They pretended to agree to Peruggia's terms, telling him they needed to take the painting for verification. As soon as they had it safely at the Uffizi, they called the police. Vincenzo Peruggia was arrested. The Mona Lisa was found. When the news broke, Italy went wild. The painting was hailed as a long-lost daughter returning home. It went on a celebratory tour across Italy, with massive crowds gathering to see it. Before it was officially returned to France, Peruggia became something of a folk hero in Italy. He argued he was a patriot, not a thief. His trial was a spectacle, and in the end, he was sentenced to just over a year in prison, but only served about 7 months. The world celebrated the return of the masterpiece. But here's where the story gets really interesting and enters the realm of conspiracy. Ever since its return, a persistent theory has lingered. Some people believe that the painting Peruggia returned wasn't the original. The theory goes that during those 2 years, a master forger, possibly working for a mysterious mastermind, created several perfect copies of the Mona Lisa. The mastermind then sold these forgeries to wealthy, unsuspecting collectors, each believing they were buying the one and only stolen original. According to this theory, the painting returned to the Louvre was just one of these high-quality fakes. A final piece of the puzzle to close the case and stop the police from searching for the real one. Think about it. Peruggia was a simple handyman, not an art connoisseur. Could he have been duped? Was he just a pawn in a much larger, more sophisticated scheme? Proponents of this theory point to subtle, almost imperceptible differences between pre-1911 photographs of the Mona Lisa and the painting we see today. They argue that the one in the Louvre is a brilliant fake, and the true Mona Lisa is still out there, hanging in a secret private collection, its owner smiling a secret smile, just like the woman in the portrait. Of course, art historians and experts at the Louvre have conducted extensive tests on the painting over the years, using everything from X-rays to pigment analysis. And they are adamant that the Mona Lisa in their possession is the one and only original painted by Leonardo da Vinci. They say the wood panel, the crack patterns known as crackler, and the unique painting techniques all prove its authenticity beyond any doubt. The differences in old photos, they attribute those to lighting, camera quality, and the natural aging of the painting and varnish over a century. So, what do you think? Was Vincenzo Peruggia a simple, misguided patriot who kept a masterpiece under his bed for 2 years? Or was he a small piece in a brilliant art heist that successfully swapped the real Mona Lisa with a forgery? A secret that remains hidden to this day. Is the world's most famous painting, the one millions traveled to see each year, actually the world's greatest fake? The story of its theft is what made it famous, but the mystery of its return is what keeps the legend alive. Let me know your theory in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you love stories where history gets a little weird, make sure to like and subscribe for more.